Hello, welcome back to part 2 of Introduction to Blender for Maya users, Navigating. If you are a Maya user and spend as much time as I do using the program for as many years as I have, there are just certain muscle memories that are almost impossible to break. The number one hardest I find is the navigation scheme. Jumping into another 3D program and trying to pan, orbit or zoom without your familiar Alt key can be quite frustrating and quite frankly a waste of time. Blender has its own navigation keyboard and mouse combinations that are different than Maya. With that said, it is very easy to change the key bindings to a Maya navigation style, which will make learning and transitioning to Blender so much easier and less stressful. First, however, I'd like to show you the default navigation behavior, which I encourage you to try first, and then decide whether or not you would like to change it over to the Maya way. Keep in mind the thousands of Blender tutorials online will use Blender's default navigation, so it's good to at least familiarize yourself with the keys and mouse buttons. Let's get started. When you launch Blender, you will be presented with the default opening screen. Left-click anywhere in the viewport to hide the splash screen. I'll start in the 3D viewport here, and then explain the 3D gizmo in the upper right corner of the screen. First, orbit. To orbit a scene, simply press the middle mouse button and move around. No other keyboard keys are used. Pretty simple. To pan, press the Shift key, and then the middle mouse button again to click and drag the scene around. And finally, zoom. You can quickly zoom into the scene by scrolling the middle mouse button. If you need more finite control, press the Control key, Command on a Mac, then middle mouse button, and then click drag to zoom in and out smoothly. Okay, that's the Blender default navigation technique. As a Maya user, you may be saying, nope. Show me the Maya way. Before moving on, if you enjoy this video, please tap the like button and subscribe to our channel to get notified when new videos are posted. Alright, we will have to change a few key bindings, but it's super simple. First, I'll show you what not to do. In your searches, you may come across a way to change all of Blender to industry compatible, which will give you your coveted Maya navigation keys and buttons. I'll show you this now, and then ask you to forget that I just showed you, and I'll explain why. Go up to the Edit menu, go down to the Preferences menu. That will pop up a window. On the left side of the panel, click Key Map. At the very top, it will default to Blender. This is a drop-down. Click on this, and select Industry Compatible. Close up the preferences, and then let's give this a try. The Maya navigation works. I can orbit, pan and zoom just like the good old days. We're done, right? This is where I'm going to ask you to ignore what you just saw, because not only did you change the navigation, you have changed all of the hotkeys as well. Now, at first glance you may say, great, got my hotkeys back as well. And this might seem cool at first, just until you watch a tutorial one day, and they are using only hotkeys to create some really cool techniques and workflows. Since you had changed the hotkeys to industry compatible, these will no longer work, and you will not be able to follow along. If you are serious about wanting to learn Blender, you need to learn Blender's default hotkeys. And if you want to change a few of them to the Maya way, you can do that quite easily, and I'll show you that next. First, let's go back into the Edit, and then Preferences menu. Let's switch back from Industry Compatible to Blender. Now, scroll the window down until you find 3D View, and let's open this section up, and then click on 3D View Global to open that up. Scroll down a bit until you see some rotate views, some pan views, and zoom view. Go to the second rotate view on the list and open that up like this. You can see that it is set to middle mouse button, with no keyboard keys highlighted. Click where it says middle, and change that to left. Then click on Alt to highlight it. Let's give this a quick test. Move the window out of the way for a moment, and let's try to orbit/rotate the scene using the Alt and left mouse button. Ah, that feels good. Alright, let's move down to the first pan view and open that up. It's set to middle mouse button with a Shift key pressed. Turn off Shift and select Alt. Let's give that a try. Ah! And finally, open up the zoom view section and change the middle mouse button to the right mouse button. Turn off Control and click on Alt. You can now collapse the zoom view section. Before we leave, I want to bring your attention to a hotkey that I use constantly in Maya, and that is the F key or frame selected shortcut. Drop down the second frame selected section you see here. The default for frame selected in Blender is the number pad period. If you are on a laptop or don't have a keyboard with a number pad, it would be a good idea to change this if you want. If you do have one, I recommend leaving this as is, or you can change it to the letter F if you prefer. However, you are probably thinking, is F already taken as a hotkey? Let's find out. Scroll all the way back to the top of the window. At the top we can search all the hotkeys by either their name or the key binding. In this case, we want to see what F does when pressed. So let's click on key binding and type F in the field. Now we can go down and see what F does and if we want to change it or not. Looks like F is used a lot, and I would hate to mess everything up. So I'm going to leave it as the number pad period on my end. But what if I don't have a number pad? No worries, here is a workaround. Let's close up the Preferences window, as we are done in there now. With an object selected, press the tilde key. This will bring up a pie menu. In the lower right, click View Selected. And there you go. Alright, we are ready to rock and roll. We have our Maya navigation, our original Blender hotkeys, and we are ready. Before we wrap this up though, I'll quickly walk you through the 3D gizmo in the upper right corner of the 3D editor. If you hover over this gizmo, it turns gray, meaning if you click on it, it's going to do something. Left-click drag on any of the gray areas. This is a simple way to orbit the scene. Notice that 3 of the 6 axes have letters on them, and the others do not. Hovering over the other ones will highlight them and label them accordingly. While over the gizmo, click on the X. This will quickly snap you to the X-axis, much like changing to the orthographic view in Maya. Same with the Y, we are now looking at the side of the cube. And then the Z, and now we are looking down at the cube. The negative X, Y and Z will show you the other sides and bottom of the cube. Below the gizmo are navigate buttons. There is a zoom, left click and drag to zoom the scene. And pan, left click and drag to pan the scene. Alright, that wraps up this video. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Also, please leave a note in the comments with any questions or things I could have done differently. Check out other videos on my YouTube channel. Best wishes to you. Now go create.